All right. Here's a question that a lot of people have been asking as of late, and that is Kickstarter and early access. How long is too long? Let's say that someone has successfully funded a game
Here goes
on
the
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter fight.
No. We're not going to go what the difference is, okay? Because if we do, he might be knocked out. Because I've got a Yeti and it's really fucking heavy. What I'm asking is, let's say that someone successfully funds a Kickstarter project, or has gotten greenlit on Steam and early access is they started pulling in money. How long can you stay in that beta phase before it's been too fucking long?
So you're saying, like, okay, my Kickstarter's complete, I've met my goal,
Yes.
and how long until I release like my final project you think is legitimate?
Yes. Is there a grace period that has a definite end to it, where once you go past it, shit's gonna hit the fan?
Well, they already have a grace period, right, where they have to refund you?
No, not technically. As long as they continue to show you that they're updating and showing progress within the game, they don't have to refund you.
Oh.
I think as long as, even if it stays in beta format, I think as long as it's legitimately, say it's a video game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're getting a playable version of it.
Mm-hmm.
I think as long as that playable beta version of those Kickstarters are getting continues to be updated and actually shows incremental increases in gameplay, I think it's fine. And the reason I think that is because, in a way, this whole entire of what makes and we've talked about this before, like a beta game versus an actual release game, those terms have become so nebulous and so not concrete like they used to be. And we see all the time games that are released that frankly are beta versions of that game. So that's kind of the way I look at it. As long as that game, even if it's called beta or the gold release, as long as it continues to operate like it's getting regular updates and like they're trying to make it into something more than it already is, I'm okay with it.
Right. Well, okay, so the reason why I bring this up, and Craig brings up a good point, there's no specific rule for refunding Kickstarter. Backing a Kickstarter is an act of faith. Many don't refund. It's a gamble in a way. You're right. But you're more likely to be refunded in Kickstarter than you are in early access on Steam. But the reason why I say this is because there's a couple games that have been, kind of churning from time to time, and one got canceled out by what Zealeys was saying, technically, because he was like, constant updates and showing improvements. Star Citizen.
Wow. That Star Citizen, to be fair, that's its own special ball of fire.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, with the amount of money it raised, and the way it just went off the freaking rails, that's the trailing tail.
So they basically raised $75 million, and they have a glorified, broken, single-player skirmish mode and a fancy spaceship hangar that you get to walk around in. And it's been, what, 2 years now?
I think the other thing that's important, too, is also the communication and expectations that come out from the Kickstarter. Like, that's one of the reasons that I think most people agree that Pugmire was so successful, is that you have that clear communication coming from the Kickstarter team. Where you go on the Kickstarter and you see all the responses from Eddie Webb and all the other people who are involved with it. And I think that's a very important part of the process is that clarity. And, like you see with some Kickstarters, you don't hear anything back. What's going on?
Right.
And I think that's where it gets frustrating.
And to be honest with you, there's a couple times where this is another huge thing that Kickstarters, individuals who I guess are the people behind the Kickstarters, they have to take into consideration, because this has actually happened a couple times. They push out their main product, but they never actually get the stretch goals through.
Yeah.
Minecraft is an exceptional example of a game that showed so much progress and was so in-depth, even though it was in a beta phase, that no one was going to complain about it. There's a game, it's called Castle Story, and I will look it up on my phone because I need to find out exactly when I actually put money down on it. But I've had T-shirts. I've had basically every single stretch goal has been given to me except for the full version of the game. They continue to update the game.
So, Alex, what do you think of Kickstarter?
In what aspect?
Like, just in general, like, do you ever actually Kickstart anything, or is it something you're interested in?
Yeah, I look at it pretty frequently, to be honest. I mean, I think it's a good thing even outside of, it has a lot of different...
What kind of things do you Kickstart?
There's been a couple cool college projects that I've had. There's been a robotics one that I did.
Woo, robotics!
Yeah. I mean, I just really, it doesn't even have to sound that cool. If the person's super passionate, normally I'd be down to help.
Right on.
Okay, so
Because you're betting on the person, right? Not the actual product.
The person makes a huge difference in how the person sells that product. It's like, are they a good salesperson for that product?
Because if they have a really good product, but they're a shitty salesperson and not good at what they do, then it's not going to go anywhere.
Well,
Yeah.
one of the great examples is of that is there was a great it was like a tabletop mixed with a card game type of game, and it looked freaking solid. It had a great universe behind it because it was based off of this indie written novel that also had an art book, so you already could see the whole vision of it. But when they did the Kickstarter video, they screwed up. I understand that a lot of Kickstarter people want to have their entire team on the video to show that they're integral parts.
I saw this.
But
But
if there's an individual that lacks social skills, do not put the camera straight in their face. Do action
We keep
shots.
Doobie on film.
I was just
Yay! Okay, but what I'm saying is, there was a guy. He's a brilliant individual, great developer. But you put him right in front of the camera. He's like, "Yes, I'm the developer of this game. It's going to be real fun, and I've taken lots of joy in creating the game." And you're just kind of like, "Wow, that's you're not really excited about this."
that was his level of excitement. That's exciting.
I know. But anyways,
Yeah,
the game
it really was.
So the fact of the matter is, you want to make it catchy, okay? Yes, the coolest cooler on Amazon. They've run out of money and they haven't completed their cooler because it was supposed to be like a boom box. You're also supposed to have like a blender on it.
That?
Huh? Yeah.
I want to see it.
Actually, here, let's click on this one over here.
So many screens. I'm so confused.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's very complicated, but at the same time, it
Oh
ran out
my
of money.
gosh, cool.
I know, but the problem is that they ran out of money. One of the, if you want to be honest, one of the biggest things with successful Kickstarters is that individuals are so desperate to get their product to be funded that they sometimes don't take into effect all the financial costs to actually get their product off the ground. You've got the coolest cooler. You've got Double Fine Adventure. They went through it was $3.5 million, and they barely had an alpha and had to split it up into an episodic two-parter. You have to know what you're talking about. If you really want to know some really good advice about doing a Kickstarter and how to approach it, you need to go to our YouTube channel and check out Eddie Webb's Kickstarter breakdown of how he approached it for Pugmire. That's probably the best to date.
He gave a whole lot of good ideas.
Yes, he
that's
did.
For sure.
All right, so going back to the original question, how long is too long? The reason why I asked this is there's a game that's kind of it's a voxel-based creative strategy game about building castles brick by brick and defending them against enemies.
That sounds
So
fun.
it's
Kickstarter takes 8%.
yes.
That's a good amount.
Well,
Yes.
part of that's credit card processing fees. That's 3 to 5% alone, and then Kickstarter's got to make a profit somehow.
It's true. That's a good profit.
Yes. Real quick, Mergers and Acquisitions totally is on track to run in Kickstarter in May and fulfill by the end of the year,
Woo!
which is awesome.
Do I get your cane if it does not fulfill? That's what I want.
No. Okay, so the reason why I bring this up, of course, is, as I said, there's this game called Castle Story. The game was successfully funded in August 26, 2012.
That's a while ago.
Yes.
So probably graduated college.
Yeah.
And it's still in beta.
Yeah, that's a long beta. And
When
fair,
did you back it?
Google Mail was in beta for like 3 years. I'm just saying.
2012.
True.
Look how that's gone. Somebody's hosting us.
How cold in
Yeah.
here.
So here's the deal.
What is the deal, Charlie? Tell us the way, the truth.
I think, to be honest with you, I think that when you do the Kickstarter, I know that there's going to be delays. There's going to be hidden obstacles. What the hell are you doing?
It's cold.
Oh, there's going to be, hidden
like a
delays.
jacket,
There's
my
going to be
lady?
problems. There's going to be all types of things.
Spinning.
So you have to take certain, delays into consideration. But when if you have it planned to release your product within, I'm going to be really nice. I'm going to say within 2 years, then you did something wrong. If it's taking more than 2 years, something's seriously wrong, and perhaps the size and scope of this project was too much for you to handle.
Well, it goes back to, you see a lot more with Kickstarters now.
Yeah, but
Is
no, keep going.
I was going to say, it used to be back in the day where you had a Kickstarter idea and you had no prototypes, nothing at all.
Right.
Whereas nowadays, it's largely expected when you start your Kickstarter, kind of like we've seen both with Pugmire and Mergers and Acquisitions, you already have products in place. You already have some actual concept, concrete concept, like this is what we're doing. So I think it helps that timeline out and realistic expectation. You actually have some kind of physical or electronic good to show, hey, there's actually something happening here, instead of just the pie in the sky idea.
But if you're funding a Kickstarter, you know that the risk. I'd like to see percentages of how many actually go through, because you're running the risk of it not going through. So you can't really yell and scream about it, because if you funded it, you know that there's a chance it's not going to work.
Well, I think not only does it go through successfully, but how. See, I think there's also different levels of success.
Correct.
Like, how much did that Kickstarter project really give you of what was expected? I think makes a big difference.
I wonder what a percentage of are complete failures.
That's a good question.
There are a ton, and as Zelius was saying, in the early days of Kickstarter, you could literally have a concept, an idea, a drawing, and then you could get you could get that funded. But now you literally need to have close to, if you really need a beta or the full thing, and basically you're utilizing Kickstarter to really distribute whatever you have.
Because you don't have a publisher, basically.
Correct. I mean, that's what Kickstarter is supposed to do. It's supposed to help you publish and get your game out. And to be honest with you,
only 9% are failures.
how many of them actually successfully released, though, after being successfully funded? That's
failure means I think they didn't reach any of their
right.
goals.
They didn't meet their goals, or it got canceled before the.
That's actually
end
a
of the thing.
lot lower than I would think.
That I would have thought too.
I would have thought a lot
I thought it was
less.
going to be closer to 20 something.
Well, the thing you have to remember that a lot of the Kickstarters, there's a lot of Kickstarters for performing arts and stuff where you don't actually get anything but maybe some pictures. Most of it's for production cost, so that doesn't really surprise me. But when the main product is something you have to give back to the backers, I think that percentage is probably going to be higher. You have the Kickstarter to build the robot to go up against the Japanese robot. I guess you get a better virtual seat while the U.S. and Japan battle it against mech. One of the other things that I personally look at is if you are a Kickstarter creator, I want to see that you're actually involved in Kickstarter. You've backed some projects. Perhaps this isn't your first project you've created, so that you kind of have, at least it appears that you have an understanding of how Kickstarter works.
Because you can give $1 to each of those projects.
Right, but at the same time, you've at least looked just for a second at each of the projects. So it kind of hopefully translates into you have a better understanding of how to at least market your project. That's the hope. Now, of course, that's not always going to be the case. People are going to try to do fun little tricks like donating $1 to each project.
I would never do that.
Can I throw some more statistics out there?
Yes, ma'am.
65% of backers agreed or strongly agreed with the statement that the reward was delivered on time. And then projects that raise less than $1,000 are most of the 9% that fail.
Well, right, and that's what I was saying is there are individuals who shoot their goals so low because they're so desperate to get it funded that when they actually try to produce whatever the hell they're trying to produce, they fail because they set the bar too low. Which is why I personally am a little bit worried about the game Essence.
Yeah.
Because the first time around, it was like, I want to say it was like $100,000, and this time around it was like, what, 16,000?
Yeah, it was a drastic.
It was a huge, drastic drop. So that to me makes me slightly nervous because I'm wondering if they dropped it so low that they're like, we can do this as a win, or if they dropped it so low because they've made so much progress since the last time that they kickstarted and all they needed was the final touches.
Yeah, or it could just be a slimmed down version of what they wanted to release.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, that too.
I think it makes sense, Craig. You know, if you ideally, like Charlie said, if you're kickstarting stuff, it means you're involved with the community. And so you definitely have that better, you know, if you've kickstarted 20 things, you're probably interacting with those people a little bit more, maybe on the forums or whatever, to know what the pitfalls are, so you're not totally screwing up things. You would hope. It's kind of like eBay. You're buying stuff off of eBay, you're probably going to go up to seller of 10,000 cells versus 10. Because you have a much better chance with all those sales that you're getting an actual reputable seller. It's kind of the same idea with Kickstarter.
The other thing is you can't, if you go to a Kickstarter project, you can find out the creator, what projects they've kickstarted. You can't find out the dollar amount, but you can see if they are just like choosing random projects. I have like 7 different backers for the $15 to make potato salad. Well, actually, no, that was like 50,000 people that backed the potato salad thing. But anyways.
I wish I'd done that.
Shit, that happened?
Yeah, oh God, yes. He got so much money that he's like, all right, let's make a cookbook. Let's make an apron. And he just started making up shit because all he wanted to do was have enough money so he could buy groceries to make a very specific potato salad. And then it just exploded because no one had done it before.
It was new and shiny.
Exactly. Yep.
The early days of Kickstarter when people weren't jaded and